The story begins with a boy called Errol sitting with his family for lunch. Errol's father feels surprised by how calm his son is, saying he couldn't sleep at all thinking about what hero class he'll get. His mother also exclaims that she's excited, while his older sister feels confident that her brother will outshine all his classmates. Her mother agrees, thinking that her son will attract all the girls with his charm, which makes Errol's sister worry that he'll be taken away from her. However, Errol is more in touch with reality than his family, thinking he'll just turn out to be another average guy. In Errol's world, hero classes are gifts from a higher being granted to youngsters when they turn 10, allowing them to specialize in various skills. Once it's time for the blessing ceremony, all the students gather in school, and a priest begins with the first boy. He puts his hand on the boy's forehead, and the boy quickly sees an image of fire and hammers, confirming that he'll be a blacksmith. The boy runs back to his father, beaming in joy, and the priest starts to work on all the remaining students. Once it's Errol's turn, his sister says that he'll get a special blessing for sure, and he walks up to the priest while his family cheers. People start whispering in envy about Errol, thinking that he'll get advanced classes like his parents, Farah and Leon, who are sword princess and archmage. Once Errol gets close to the priest, he closes his eyes and focuses his mind, but fails to see anything. The priest feels surprised that he doesn't have a blessing and announces that Errol is a rare case of a classless hero. Errol's family instantly loses their excitement, thinking they got totally scammed and that his fate is ruined as a talentless failure. The next day, Errol gets to practicing ordinary swordsmanship. His parents assure him that they won't kick him out of the house. Errol tells them that he's doing fine and just doesn't want to be a freeloader, while his sister promises to keep supporting him. Seeing how concerned his family is, Errol once again reminds them that he has always been practicing swordsmanship with his mother, so he can still be useful despite not having a class. However, he thinks that his mother is an awful teacher because she always blows him away in training with her incredible strength. As he finishes his explanation, Errol's mother feels happy that her son is so wise, while his father thinks that he might actually be able to get a real job. Seeing them all fawn over him, Errol gets sick of his family's attention and leaves to train. As he walks into the training ground, Errol finds two swordsman class students dueling it out with their swords. While fighting, the boys notice Errol and ask what he's doing here without a class. He calmly tells him that he's going to train just like them, but the boys tell him that they're only having fun with their swords since they don't have to train because of their class. Then, they offer to show Errol how much skill they have gained from their class, and start sparring once again. While watching them fight, Errol notices how smooth their movements are because of the swordsman class, and asks them to fight him. One of the boys laughs at his audacity for challenging him without a class, but Errol thinks that he doesn't need one. Feeling insulted, the boy accepts Errol's challenge to teach him a lesson. Before fighting, the boy asks Errol to make sure he still has the protection blessing, which is a temporary shield everyone gains at birth that recharges when the user isn't receiving damage. Errol nods and confirms that he won't lose his life to the boy's powerful attacks and tells him to get ready for the duel. Enraged by his constant taunting, the boy charges at Errol and swings his sword, but he easily parries it to his shock. Then, Errol dodges another slash before locking the boy in a parry. The boy's partner thinks he's just having fun and tells him to finish the match, but he tells him that Errol isn't so easy to fight. As they continue trading parries, the boy realizes he can't beat Errol on his own, so he cheats and asks his partner to gang up on him. The other boy jumps at Errol from behind, but he senses the attack and dodges it. Watching the two boys argue with each other, Errol realizes that their class doesn't help the boys with their teamwork, and he swoops in to finish them both off. The boys notice him coming, but suddenly, Errol vanishes from their sight before coming under one of them and knocking him clean out with a jaw punch. As his teammate falls, the other boy rushes to attack Errol, but he trips on his own friend, giving Errol the chance to knock him out as well. With both boys on the ground, Errol calmly announces that he won the fight, but they get angry and claim that he attacked them while their guard was down. As they ask Errol for a rematch, he easily agrees, but before it starts, a boy behind them warns the others not to try it, reminding them that they can't make cheap excuses like that if they fail on the battlefield. After the red-haired boy tells them they're a disgrace to all swordsmen, one of the two boys tries talking back to him, but his friend reminds him of red-haired boy's high status. The redhead then walks up to Errol and asks if he's the son of Sword Princess. Princess Farah. When Errol nods, the boy praises him for learning some solid swordsmanship from his mother. However, he reminds Errol that the two swordsmen he took down are just inexperienced children as he points his sword at him, challenging him to a real fight. The boy declares that he'll prove the real power of the swordman class, while the two other boys wonder if he's the village security Captain Evan's son. The boy confirms his identity, and Errol remembers that his father used to contact his mother to hunt monsters. Errol thinks that the cute boy looks nothing like his father, and wonders if he'll also turn into a gruff-looking man. The boy's shoulders start trembling as he praises his father for being a powerful swordsman and wise mentor. He thinks it's unfair that, despite his father's great qualities, Errol's mother unfairly stole away his father's title of the village's strongest swordsman. At his jealous words, Errol realizes that the boy is just taking out his frustration on him because he hates his mother, and the redhead feels embarrassed to get called out, but asks Errol if he thinks the same. Errol confirms that his mother is the strongest person in their village, but the boy tells him that he inherited the best swordsman talent from his father, so he'll defeat Errol to prove that his family is superior. After calming down, the boy tells Errol that he already became a swordsman a year ago and has been training hard under his father ever since. With his dedicated practice, the boy thinks he has no chance of losing. However, Errol reminds him that he also received guidance from his powerful mother, so he's not going to lose against him. Both boys raise their swords to begin the fight, and the redhead attacks first. Errol parries his attack and strikes back, and they both engage in a fierce battle. Watching them exchange blows, the other two boys feel shocked that Errol is keeping up with the redhead despite being classless. Watching the boy swing his sword, Errol admits that he's much stronger than the other two, but his moves are driven by anger. Errol waits for him to slip up and attacks once he gets an opening. However, the boy unleashes a twin slice skill, which drives Errol back into a wall. The redhead feels surprised that his first slice was blocked, but notices that Errol got injured by the second. Finally losing his calm, Errol asks about the boy's ability, and he explains that it's a swordsman class skill that can't be blocked by someone classless. However, Errol feels determined that he can learn to block it with enough practice, and the redhead praises his resilience. A few days later, Errol's sister watches him snore late in the morning and tries to wake him up with a kiss. He gets up before she can touch him, coldly knocking her away with his head. Errol's sister gets offended and demands an apology kiss as he leaves his room to get breakfast. Their mother smiles and serves breakfast, and the family sits down to eat together. Errol's sister asks him if he's going to train again, and he nods. This angers her, and she tells him to take it easy and let her support him. However, Errol ignores her and gets up to leave, and his sister wonders why he's been going out to train daily ever since he returned home beaten into a pulp. Farah reassures her that Errol will be fine, explaining that they have a secret she doesn't know. She takes her daughter outside and opens a chest full of broken swords, revealing how hard Errol has been training the past few days. While his sister feels surprised, Errol's mother feels happy that her boy got inspired after dueling with other kids. Errol's determination also cheers up his sister, but she still wants to create a world where classless people like him aren't discriminated against, while her mother smiles at her noble goal. Meanwhile, in a forest, Errol whacks at a training target on a tree before backing up for an attack. He then unleashes a twin slice just like the redhead and feels satisfied with his power. While Errol thinks getting beaten up by the redhead was worth it, a goblin silently stalks him in some bushes. It jumps out to attack with its club, but Errol turns around and defeats it with a twin slice. While Errol feels happy with his skill's power, a large monster roars behind him. He turns around to report the monster's appearance to village security, but stops after hearing a panicked scream. Finding the scream familiar, Errol turns around, thinking that he doesn't have time to call security before that person gets hurt. He grabs his sword's handle and runs into the forest, mentally assuring himself that he'll be fine. Once he gets close to the source, Errol peeks from a bush and finds the redhead with a bloodied arm. Then, he notices a giant hobgoblin looming over the boy and wonders why it appeared. Errol then realizes that the redhead was also practicing like him and defeated some wild goblins, which attracted the leading hobgoblin. While the hobgoblin backs the boy into a corner, Errol gets behind it and prepares to launch his attack from the best angle. Errol takes a deep breath to prepare, and the redhead thinks that it's game over for him. The hobgoblin raises his club for the finishing blow, but suddenly, Errol cuts it down with a twin slice attack. After After the monster falls to the ground, Errol thinks he has finally mastered the technique's footwork. The redhead tries to walk, but he stumbles into Errol's arms. Noticing that the boy lost his protection blessing, Errol asks if he has any holy water to heal his wounds. The boy silently looks at his smashed water bottle on the ground, so Errol offers him his own holy water. After he drinks the water, his wounds disappear, and the redhead feels annoyed by how strong Errol has gotten. Errol notices that his energy has returned, and the boy thanks him for his water before asking again about his powerful skill. Errol calmly reminds him that it's just a twin slice, but the boy asks how he learned it without a class, knowing that ordinary people can't learn special skills. Errol explains that he pushed his training to the limits for this one. The redhead feels confused, so Errol explains that he learned the skill by adjusting to its timing and footwork. Then, Errol tells the redhead that he was the most important resource, since he helped him understand the skill after beating him up dozens of times with it. While the boy feels overwhelmed by this information, Errol tells him that he's been training the twin slice skill to defeat him in their rematch. Feeling impressed by Errol's dedication, the redhead accepts his rematch challenge. Errol asks him if he's sure, but the boy tells him it's the least he can do after he saved him and healed his wounds. Errol feels surprised that he knows how to repay favors, and the boy feels insulted by his low opinion of him. Soon, both boys get ready with their swords and begin their duel with a twin slice at the same time. While feeling shocked that Errol blocked both of the slices, the redhead gets hit by a surprise attack. He wonders what it was, and Errol tells him that he added a third slice. The redhead reminds Errol that it's called twin slice, but Errol explains that because he didn't get a predefined skill from a class, he can mold his technique into whatever he wants. He reveals to the boy that this was his first time successfully using the third strike, which leaves him even more frustrated. The redhead thinks that a swordsman's skill isn't supposed to lose to anyone, so Errol tells him he'll prove it in another match. Both boys raise their swords again, and the redhead calms down, thinking that he has a speed advantage over Errol. As both of them unleash their twin slices, the redhead watches for Errol's third slice. However, the third slice's speed still catches him off guard and knocks him down despite getting blocked. Errol points his sword at the defeated boy and tells him that this result was only to be expected. The redhead asks him why his third strike is so fast, so Errol explains that he learned that trick from him as well. Errol reveals that he controls his first two strikes to be slower and applies all his strength to the third strike to catch the opponent off guard. Feeling completely outclassed, the redhead gnashes his teeth in defeat, and Errol walks away victorious. A few days later, as Errol's family is having dinner, Farah reveals that Evan's son has left to train at Brescia. Surprised by this news, Errol asks what Brescia is, and his mother explains that it's the City of Swords. She tells him that she used to train at a guild there before her marriage, and Errol feels excited to visit the city and explore his full potential as a classless hero. That was episode 1. Subscribe to not miss the next part and watch the next video on screen.